Are you looking for the best fantasy advice on the internet, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it may be? You came to the right place, baby. This is Fantasy Football University. My name is Joe, and I'm here with my boys. We're going to be talking nothing but fantasy football, all the things you need to know to be a league winner this year, this season, right now, and for future seasons for all my dynasty people out there. Bet your ass we got some things for you here, too. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over here to my boys. They're going to get us started on this. Also, if you're looking for some great, just straight up real life football, week to week stuff, you can check out my channel, Between the Uprights. I got some boys over there as well. We're doing some killer stuff. So, fantasy football's here at Fantasy Football University. You can get the live action football analysis, breakdown, and news over on Between the Uprights. Be sure to check that out as well. But take it away, boys, and I'm here to help out where I can.
You guys, it's Kevin over here. Obviously, you guys have seen my face a little bit, but I want to actually introduce Toki. Toki has actually kind of been the guy behind the scenes on a lot of these as well. So behind the scenes that his face is hidden today again. So little camera shy there, Toki. But introduce yourself.
Hey,
let us know about you, man.
So also from Canada, just like my fellow FFU or let's say co-worker here, Kevin, and
Dude, shy. It's all good, man.
oh no, I definitely am.
It happens, man.
All good, man. It's all good. So, a couple of things that I wanted to look at today, and we'll see what we can actually get into, because, I mean, I don't want to drag on forever for everybody, but I think the two big things that everybody's kind of trying to figure out right now in fantasy football, whether it's Dynasty or the old school redraft, some of the breakout players, there are some massive breakouts this week and last week, but some really interesting ones this week. And then on top of that, injuries. So many injuries. Who's replacing it? Who's going to be legit? Who's actually worth picking up? Even in Dynasty, there's some waiver wire grabs this week, which is kind of crazy. You don't see that too often. I thought last week was going to be the weirdest waiver wire I've ever seen in Dynasty. I think this week might even top it. So, yeah. Where do you guys want to start? Toki, why don't we jump on you? Do you want to look at? You want to talk about those injuries, or you want to talk about some of these crazy breakouts that we had?
Let's say, being a Dolphins fan over there, let us hear about this new news of.
Oh, it's painful. Painful.
Tua.
Obviously, Tua went on IR. He got put on IR today. So this whole concept of maybe it's 1 week or two. No, it's minimum 4. I would not be surprised to see it be quite a bit longer than that. Obviously, we've been seeing ex-pros, ex-NFL players all over the league talking about it's time to retire. As a selfish Dolphins fan, I certainly hope not, but I mean, if that's what he needs to do, that's not what he needs to do. And I know he's saying he's not going to right now, but until he makes a decision, that's what he's going to say no matter what. But I hope he's healthy. I hope he comes back after 4 weeks, but we'll see how that plays out.
Before you talk about Skylar, let's just, name drop the GOAT. There's been a lot of rumors.
And that is all. That's mainstream media hyping up some bullshit, man.
It's worth mentioning. What are your guys' takes on that? Given
as a Dolphins fan, I hate it.
He's
given Patriots Miami.
Yeah, Jesus. I spent my entire Dolphins fandom hitting one player above any other because he just destroyed us year after year. You can't play in an arena, or in this case, a stadium, where the fans have been born and raised to hate you as a player.
Is in the veins.
Yeah, man. I can't see it. And I know the Dolphins went after him before. I mean, hell, we lost a first round pick over it. So, so angry about that still. So no, I can't see it happening. I don't know. I know you guys are Patriots fans, so maybe you have a different perspective on it, but for me, it just seems crazy.
I think it'd be if he was to come out of retirement, there's not a better place he could go. They have all the defensive players, they have all the offensive players. You would not question starting any of their players in fantasy if Tom Brady said tomorrow he was going to go down, catch a week. He's got the playbook. He's looking at it. He's decided to join the Dolphins. He would start everybody. Like
Yeah.
I would pick up Tom Brady off the waiver wire. He's going to throw for 500 yards a game with that wide receiver core, and it's going to be absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Like, if that was to happen, the first thing I'm doing is putting in if it's a waiver wire where you have like a budget where you can bid on pickups. I'm putting the bank on Tom Brady to win me. That is a league winner right there, baby. He
exactly.
can't run, but he's going to throw for 500 yards and 6 touchdowns a game. He's just going to lob it out there. It's going to be crazy.
That's it. I mean, that is the thing. The team's built for that kind of player. That team is not built and structured. It's not game planned for a QB who can run, which is interesting. Little side note with obviously the Tyler Huntley pickup, who is quite a mobile quarterback.
We kind of disagree on that. I think that they're missing one thing. That get to the edge and make a fucking big play like Jalen Hurts just did last night. 20.
Yeah.
He said, "No, I'm taking this." He took a couple hits and he fucking. That's what they're missing.
And they lost.
Can I? Well, yeah, that's true. But I mean, hey, Tua picked up that first down. Let's put that out there.
I'm sorry if you have a history of your brain rattling around inside your head. Do not lead with your head.
The second he got past the line, I was like, oh my god.
Just slide.
It was just
you gain nothing.
I hate to bring him up again, but there's a reason why Brady, like you said, you would give everything for Brady if he came back today or tomorrow.
He
so
takes what
there's
he
a reason why.
Hey, you know what, man? I actually wouldn't. I don't think he's a couple years removed. Come on, man.
Bro.
Let's be honest.
47 years old. Let's be realistic here.
It's an interesting situation in Miami right now. You like Tyreek, you like Jalen, you like realistically right now, it's the running backs are the only thing I can trust. I think Tyreek and Jalen are at best a flex option if Skylar Thompson or Tyler Huntley are taking snaps. They're going to have to switch to a run heavy scheme in my opinion, because I haven't seen anything from Skylar Thompson that tells me he can run this offense at the efficiency level that Tua did. Right? I think that there were better options.
No, not even close.
There were better options for them to go get than Tyler Huntley. I don't know why Tyler Huntley is the one they chose. I've seen Tyler Huntley play. He did. Now, don't get me wrong. Tyler Huntley did play well with the Ravens. He did do things in the Ravens games, but you saw the sort of arm talent. Now, is the wide receiver core and the wide receiver options better in Miami than they were in Baltimore? That's arguably yes. I would say that Tyreek is better than anything Baltimore has, and I would say Jalen Waddle is equivalent to what you see from Zay Flowers. Like, I think they are very quick twitchy.
I think he's better than Zay Flowers, but
I mean it's closer than you want to admit. I mean, Zay Flowers from a fantasy they're very good players.
I think what the Dolphins are doing right now with the acquisition of Tyler Huntley has less to do about how well he plays. And I'm not saying he has to play super well and throw for 200-300 yards. He doesn't need to do that. Miami has the gadgets to set up a very similar situation to what we just seen Malik Willis do. So, and if there's one coach with that team that he has that we can trust to get a player like Huntley, who is, like Joe said, did pretty well in the Baltimore offense when he needed to, but that was catered to his style. So does Miami switch that up? Huntley.
That's exactly the point, Toki, because if they say they do move forward with Huntley over Skylar Thompson, which I would actually prefer, because even though he doesn't fit the scheme necessarily, I don't think Skylar can do anything. Like, as a Finns fan who's watched him in preseasons and watched him step in when Tua was injured, like, I don't even understand how he's not on a practice squad. Like I said, Mike McDaniel, he's a really good coach, brilliant coach, so maybe he can adjust on the fly, but it's a big adjustment because you got a QB who should never be leaving the pocket for a QB who basically he molded his game after Lamar Jackson. He's obviously no Lamar Jackson by any stretch of the imagination, but he did a decent job stepping into that kind of profile. So now all of a sudden you've got a guy who it has that kind of playset mindset. I don't know. As you said, they do have the players that they could legit turn into dump and run, screen passes, slot passes. Maybe they can make it work, but it's a big game plan change, I think.
Honest, and I'm not talking future. I'm talking up in a 4-week span. Like if I'm in a redraft league, but if I am, and I also have a player who's hurt, I'm going to be trying to make a swap for Tyreek Hill. Like if there's, say...
Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean to get Tyreek Hill?
Yes, to get Tyreek. Because I'm a firm believer that they're going to cater to Tyreek, Waddle, maybe Mostert if he comes back, A-Chain. I think you don't know if they all play in the backfield. You don't know. What was that?
A-Chain.
I forgot. I just said I'd go after A-Chain. I'd go after A-Chain a ton, but I don't know, man.
But if you don't have
worried about that wide receiver
in that offense that could throw it down the field, and I've been saying this for ever since Tua came into the league, he can't even throw it down the field very well. But that's a whole different topic.
That's 2 years old bias that hasn't proved true for the last 2 years, man.
My problem with what Miami did...
He's hitting Reek in stride, no problem now.
My problem with what Miami did was I like the idea to go out and get a quarterback, right? Why don't you go get a quarterback who's got experience in the system, who's got rapport with the wide receivers? There's a guy out there that we've seen perform pretty damn well when given an opportunity if you can keep him upright and keep him healthy. Mike White is sitting on the Bills practice squad right now collecting dust.
I can't.
I very well thought you were going to go a different direction.
I can't understand why they cut White and kept Skylar Thompson. I was shocked by that right from the get-go.
Kevin, we were talking about that when Tua went down.
Yeah. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you wanted a quarterback that...
Yeah, I know.
Like, you wanted a good passing quarterback, you have Bailey Zappi, who's shown that when given an opportunity, he can perform. Right? And he's got a good arm. Like...
Zappi was actually who I thought they were going to go after, to be honest.
He's sitting on the Chiefs practice.
That was actually... I know. That was the one I thought they were going to go after. It's just, he fits the mold almost perfectly. Obviously, he's not as good, but he's a game manager, which is honestly kind of what the fans need.
Yeah.
Because I think all they're going to do for the next 4 games is if they can get somebody who can pull out 3-1 or whatever, their schedule's not too crazy. If they could pull out 3-1, Tua comes back. If they don't, I think they shut Tua down for the season and just if somebody goes 0-4 these next 4 weeks, I think Tua gets shut down for the season. They go get themselves a nice draft pick, and I think that's the direction it goes. But you don't know,
and it's risky.
I gotta remember.
I mean, Tyreek Hill's mentioned retirement. He's talked about it.
I know this is your window, right? So. If Tua comes back and they make a run into the playoffs, I think Tyreek comes back next year because he'll want to run it back. But if it just fizzles and fades, I would not be surprised to see him be like, well, especially because he's watching his quarterback just get dummied and looking to see, okay, what kind of long-term effects is this going to have?
Yeah.
Does he want to end his career in the same way? Heck no, man, right? So...
Yeah, I mean, and the Huntley pick up and Skylar Thompson do not instill confidence in the wide receiver room. Now, don't get me wrong, Toki did say something that kind of piqued my interest here a little bit. That if you wanted to buy low on a really truly boomer bust target, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle right now, because of the uncertainty of the quarterback room, are probably going at a very discounted rate. Because most of the people that have them do not buy, especially in your standard redraft leagues, that they're going to be viable. They're no longer wide receiver 1s and wide receiver 2s. They are 3s and flexes at this point.
So I'm going to add on to that. So Joe, The other night, or Kevin, I kind of mentioned it to you, and I was talking to you about it beforehand. And when I pulled the trigger, I still feel bad for doing it to him. But at the end of the day, he does have Tyreek Hill, and he is a contender. And my team is 0-2. So selling DK while my team is already all under 26, it was a smart decision. I ended up getting 2 firsts for DK because he started to
Yeah.
panic that Tyreek Hill was out. So I'm not saying to panic if you're 0-2, but if you have that situation come up where somebody's willing to pretty much double pay for a receiver because one of their Miami receivers went down, I wouldn't hesitate to try and butter a deal and get a little bit more. If not, you could always
Yep.
revert to their original offer because you know that they're
Yeah,
going to pay.
no, it is true. And I mean, even looking at a redraft, now that you guys say it, I can actually see it because you're right. Like, let's be honest. If you're going into a week where you just need that 20 points, Tyreek's gonna with Skylar. Skylar, I could see Tyreek putting up like 2 or 25.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
A-Chain,
it's
Waddle,
truly
and
boom
Hill out of the backfield, that's a 3-headed monster that you can't stop. I don't care who is that quarterback.
Yeah, no, A-Chain, I think, is, to me, A-Chain, I actually think you might be able to sneak A-Chain off some rosters right now from people who think, oh, he's not going to get to the end zone because of the situation. Dude, I think he's going to be gobbling up targets with these 2 guys. You got 2 guys who don't want to throw downfield. They just want to get rid of the ball. Actually, Jono Smith is another one. He just had a big week. It'd be interesting to see what happens with him coming forward, too.
In offenses where the quarterback needs a quick outlet and they don't trust him to throw downfield, your receiving running back and your receiving tight end are your best pickups for that team. Right now with Skylar Thompson, Jonnu Smith, and Devon A-Chain. And if that running back core gets hurt a little bit, Jalen Wright, he's proved he can do it. He looked good at Tennessee. He's a flyer. Those are the guys that I would look at to pick up. And if you have Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle, this may be the time to try to sell and get someone to fill in that spot for you 100%.
Another thing that, while you mentioned Jalen Wright, Marshawn Lloyd went on IR today.
Yeah, I saw
Green
that
Bay
too,
has
actually.
nobody behind Jacobs. So
I don't even know who would be next up, actually.
I have zero. I have no idea who is another Green Bay running back other than those 2. I don't think they have one. A.J. Dillon is on IR as well, and he's done for the season. Yep. So, how, they have one running back, they have no chemistry behind that one running back. Josh Jacobs just jumped to my top 5 must-buy.
Yeah, you have Emmanuel Wilson and Chris
Actually,
Brooks.
Wilson's look good, though.
Emmanuel Wilson.
I forgot about him.
Wilson
he on the practice
definitely
squad?
Be a buy right now.
Wilson is currently ranked as their number 2 on the depth chart in Green Bay. Emmanuel Wilson.
Yeah. Emmanuel Wilson is definitely a buy right now, 100%. If you can get him off of anybody,
for sure.
Both.
Yeah, and
both
it's not even
running back.
And for for sure. I mean, if you can get Josh Jacobs, obviously, man, I think he's
Green Bay's number 1 rushing offense.
But I think Emmanuel Wilson is one of those guys where if you can get him right now, redraft obviously just makes sense as a handcuff. Dynasty, I could see Emmanuel Wilson being one of those guys that pops off in the next couple of years. Josh Jacobs, who knows what his long-term future is, what his long-term plans are. I could definitely see Emmanuel
overpay for Josh Jacobs, but look to find a good value if you can get Josh Jacobs. Or
I don't think you're getting good value from Josh Jacobs right now. I mean, he's the clear breadwinner in that offense. Especially with Jordan Love down, they're going to ride him heavy, especially the next couple of weeks. Your best chance if you're trying to pick up Josh Jacobs is when Jordan Love comes back. If or when Jordan Love comes back. If Jordan Love comes back, you may start to see them go more to the pass. And that may lower Josh Jacobs' value, but as of right now, you're not getting Josh Jacobs without giving up a significant piece. The only reason Josh Jacobs would have a lower value is if you're in a PPR league. And I think that, PPR might drive his value down a little bit, but even then you're going to have to give up a top tier wide receiver to get him. And I don't know. It depends if you are wide receiver heavy and running back light, and you want to do a top wide receiver trade for Josh Jacobs. Do you feel that's going to balance out your team? I could see that being a good play, but it's risky. That's very risky in a PPR league to go for running backs. Running backs don't have the value anymore. It's just not there.
I have CMC in a few leagues, and in one of them, I have somebody offering Kai Williams and something else. I can't remember. I auto-rejected it, and I sent another offer back of, okay, give me Gibbs, give me Kai, and I'll give you CMC. Otherwise, bye.
Bro, okay.
So I would never. If somebody sent the offer I sent for Barkley, I would tell him to kick rocks and never message me again.
Here's the thing.
Here's
the thing. I would have sold CMC so damn fast. The Madden curse is a real fucking thing. And it hits running backs harder than anybody else. They are in no rush to bring him back. And I'm not joking you when I tell you there are rumors that if I believe it was Jordan Mason, if I'm not mistaken, right? That's who's running for the 49ers right now. If he continues to run the way he's running and do the things he's doing, they have talked about not rushing Christian McCaffrey back until
exactly as I want.
A late season, early playoffs. If you can get if you can get a haul for CMC, fill some gaps, bro, that for sale sign's in the front yard right now.
It depends where you're at. That same league that I told him to kick rocks, I just sold DK. So did I need to sell CMC yet? No, because when he comes back,
I would have sold CMC before I sold DK, but.
Yes, but I also addressed that.
I told him the exact same thing. I told him the same thing when he was selling DK. I'm like, why are you selling DK, dude?
But the thing is, I have Jefferson, I have Reed, I have 3 of the fucking rookies from this draft. So I'm good at receiver. I don't need DK. Give me the 2 first-round picks.
I mean, you could argue that, but the rookies are always hot or cold to start off, right? Said, you don't know what they're going to look like. DK just, you traded him, and then he had, a 20-some plus point game.
I traded him after the game. So I lost even with DK having a monster game. So I was 0-2, and I was like, okay. So at first I told him no.
You have Justin Jefferson and DK Metcalf on that team? Is that what I heard?
So I have Jefferson, Purdy, what's a fucking guy in Tennessee?
Will Levis.
Yeah, Will Levis.
Games.
ETN, CMC. I've JJ
McCarthy.
Banana
with the peel on, stupid mayonnaise out of the jar, nasty ass. Will Levis.
Half my team is on IR, and I said, you know what, 0-2. My guys are done for the season, other than CMC. So let's trade DK. Let's already start rebuild. And maybe right before the trade deadline in that league, somebody wants CMC for the late playoff push. Give me everything.
Here's my question.
That's what I'm thinking.
Is Derek Carr still on the waiver wire in that league?
Nope. He got traded for
2 QB leagues.
Yeah, I guess he would be available in a 2 QB league.
But he was traded. And in that trade, it was Derek Carr and a 25 third round for 25 first.
I mean,
it's paying off for the guy who paid the first.
Yes, but Derek Carr is playing out. He's playing what we thought he'd look like when he went to New Orleans. Let's be fair.
But can we?
I did not see this coming at all for the season either.
I have zero knock on Derek Carr. He's playing amazing. But is it all to his credit, or is that defense playing great?
It's to Derek Carr and the offense. They are dumping 40-plus points on people. The defense does not have anything to do with Alvin Kamara scoring 4 touchdowns, Derek Carr throwing bombs to Rashid Shaheed.
Field position does, though.
The defense,
the
They're
What
No, they
putting
just
position
put
teams in a
40
box.
points on Dallas, man.
They're putting teams in a box. All right.
I'm not trying to
You are
lessen their
getting boat
offense,
raced.
but
All you can do is throw the football. The Saints have turned teams one-dimensional, and the defense is feasting. That defense has always been good. Always been good.
I don't know if you guys watch the St. Brown Brothers podcast, but they had Cameron Jordan on right before the season started, and he was talking about how it doesn't matter who's on their team because of the defense. He firmly believes that until last week, they have a chance to win the Super Bowl every year. And he went to talk about all the fucking defensive linemen and like the front seven that they have. He's talking truth.
Okay, look, that could be true. That could be true, but that's when you're talking about, okay, yeah, like their defense is so good. Okay, look at the Patriots right now. They just ground out 2 wins because
one.
No.
Oh yeah, sorry, one
We
win.
lost in overtime. Thank you.
Yeah,
At
well,
least it's overtime. It counts for something.
No, it doesn't. It's still a loss.
in my survivor pool,
It's still an
everybody was laughing
advantage
because it looked
over-
like we were going to eliminate a ton of people. 2 weeks in a row, it looked like they were going to eliminate half the survivor. They OT in a way, right? That's the kind of game. Those are the kind of games that a really good defense gets you. New England's defense is way better than their offense. They ground it out. They take it down, low scoring. It's not like Jacoby Brissett's then turning around and putting up 40. Like,
What are you talking about? Patriots are #1 offense in the league. Don't even talk.
Oh my god. The only thing they're top 5 in is rushing yards because that's all they can do. By the way, if you
No,
want
I
to
don't
try to
actually
get a
believe
running
that
back,
guy.
also see if you can buy Ramondre Stevenson at this point and they're going to start getting more of a timeshare there because Stevenson can't carry the ball 28 times a fucking week.
No,
I
has
actually
said in
bought
the
a
past
bunch
he
of him
does
in the
not want to
offseason
do
because
it.
he was so cheap.
Yeah.
I sold him in the
He was so cheap.
offseason for Mixon, and then I sold Mixon for a second, and then after week 1 happened, I'm like, wow, I need to buy a running back.
You just sold 2 like the crazy guys who are like, no, you guys thought we were washed.
I wanted nothing. Like, I expected a full pass-heavy offense from the Texans, and Stevenson, I had zero trust in the run. He did not, like I mentioned to Joe earlier, Stevenson's playing like the Stevenson that we expected, the hard-to-tackle player.
This is what Toki did. Toki did an oops. This is my giant oops eraser. I save it for things like this. If you are watching this, anyone who's
Note
watching
that I'm 2-0 still.
Understand that Toki did an oops. Don't do the things that Toki did. Don't sell Ramondre Stevenson. You can sell Joe Mixon if you're in a dynasty league, but if you're in a redraft league, do not sell Joe Mixon. Do not sell Jacobs. Do not sell Barkley. Sell CMC.
No, don't
do not sell DK Metcalf.
Sell CMC. Although I will give you
until his value goes back up. Don't undersell him. You're making a mistake.
His value is so
sell him now.
No, his value is so high right now. His value is never going to be higher. I don't think. Dynasty.
CMC,
I don't think it's
when he comes back, just off a namesake, and they say he's off IR, his value is going to go up again. People are blind to the hype.
That doesn't happen until the playoffs.
Yeah, if that doesn't happen until week 18.
Yeah.
Well, if that doesn't happen till week 18, it doesn't happen till week 18, and people missed out on CMC. But the thing is, his namesake is still going to get you something, even in the off season.
Remember when that video I just put out? It was all about do not trade for CMC right now. And I put that out the day before he went on IR.
Bro.
All I'm saying is, you already have the injured running back, you know he's probably going to come back at some point this season. But these players that we're doing the whole thing on injuries, are we not? Because the injuries are crazy this year. So why sell a player that may be coming back for a playoff push in your fantasy leagues where Jacobs could blow his back out this upcoming week? He had it hurt this past week.
Look, I totally get it. Everything's hopes and prayers in fantasy football. Let's be honest, right? We know this. But you don't lean into the guy who is already injured and injury prone. If you so I use a lot of the re-injury stats when I'm looking at my
CMC was
trades.
healthy for 2 years.
Yeah,
I know,
he
but
was on a
his
Madden
injuries.
cover, now he's got the Madden curse. So
Well, there's that too. No, but his injuries, if you actually look into the injuries that he's done, they are high level re-injury rates for a huge chunk of his injuries, right?
Speaking of
That's why
which,
people think he's injury prone. Yep.
I know we've already kind of. I'll let you say your piece, but
No, I think we should move on.
Reoccurring injuries. A player, and it's a running back again. A player I am currently looking to sell in all my leagues, and I am buying Charbonnet. Is Kenneth Walker.
As a Walker.
his durability
Yeah,
is
it's an
definitely
interesting one for sure.
Not 2 abdomen injuries in 9 months. Let's talk about reoccurrence, right? So you get over that very easily. When your abdomen's torn up like that, it's hard to come back.
So
you've seen it in so many sports too. That is an injury that is just like torn, like really bad torn muscles like that.
Yeah. So
round and round we go.
I can speak to this real quick. All right. So this goes for CMC as well, who's dealing with a calf Achilles issue, right? Soft tissue injuries are the absolute worst. There's a reason that we will. I would say you have a higher chance of seeing Isaiah Pacheco again this year than you do of seeing CMC or Kenneth Walker III. And I will explain to you why. Isaiah Pacheco broke, I believe, his fibula. Right?
Yes, correct.
Broke his fibula. Do you know what the recovery time on average is for a fibula break? Depending on the
6 weeks.
6 weeks?
6 to 8 weeks. Do you know? I broke my ankle. All right? And the only reason I called it was a break was because when I actually tore every tendon and ligament in my ankle and foot, with the exception of my Achilles. It was the only one I didn't rupture. They called it a break because when all that happened, the knuckle of my ankle, the way those bones come down, your ankle sits like this. This is where you're attached to your foot. 2 bones come on either side of that, and it's in a socket like this. My ankle dislocated, rotated almost 180 degrees, and smacked off the asphalt of the basketball court I was on, and I chipped a bone. That's why they called it a break. I was in a walking boot for 7.5 months. It took me 3 months to be able to run correctly and get the atrophy out of my foot. All right? They don't do surgery on that. There's nothing to do. You just have to let it sit and heal. All right?
Yeah, that's one of those things that's your own rehab.
Yeah. Like, so if you were going to bet on a running back who's injured right now to show up and play for you late in the year and be a good player, it is Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah, I do agree. That would be the number one.
And I think part of it too is Casey's going to need him, to be perfectly honest. Like, they don't have a Jordan Mason. You know what? And talking about Pacheco and looking at who is going to be in there, we've got Carson Steele, who everybody was high on. He's taken a couple snaps. He's looked okay once it's real NFL time, but I think as a premier back, I don't know if that's going to fly at all. Obviously, they just signed Kareem Hunt. Could be interesting. Curious to see if he's got any tread left on those tires. But are you banking on either of those guys really making a long-term difference? I don't know that I am. And the way the receiver room is, I mean, the week 1, week 2, it looks like Kadarius Toney's taking up all the spots right now. Like, what's going on in that team, man? It's crazy. And even Kelsey can't get free right now. So, they need somebody who can change the upgrade, change the momentum in that offense, and they're gonna need Pacheco back. I mean,
for sure.
And as a Dolphins fan, I can tell you, if the Dolphins don't win it this year, and let's be honest with what's going on, that's not happening. I want the 3-peat just so they take it from Tom.
No. Let's put it this way.
Man.
If there's 2 teams,
Patty and Kelsey with the 3-peat, something that Tom and Gronk could never do. I'm just putting it out there.
Again, different topic. The Eagles. Why I went so heavy on the Eagles in my leagues this year, I have no idea. Call it a gut feeling. I think they dethrone the Niners of the NFC, and I think the Texans dethrone Chiefs.
I got some bad news for your NFC take. The Eagles' offense woes have continued from last year. Since
I know.
Strahan is down to the Colts, that offenses look lost. They brought Saquon Barkley in to add a dimension that they didn't have, but their downfield passing attack is completely gone. And
Hey, they actually managed one tush push successfully last night.
No, they had three.
It's different. It's different when you don't have Jason Kelsey man in the offensive line. They lost their offensive identity with Jason Kelsey, and as long as the Saints are dropping 40 burgers on everybody, and that defense is not allowing over 20 points.
That's a scary.
They are. We're going to find out after week 3. If they go out and they drop 40 on the Eagles, and that defense, and they don't give up more than the points than they did to Dallas. NFC's on notice. In fact, if Rashid Shaheed is still on the waiver wire, which he is still on the waiver wire in some of my leagues, highly recommend putting the claim on that guy. Like now.
He's on the trade block in mine, but
he's not getting a lot of targets, but when he does, he gets hell the yards.
Shaheed's being used as a gadget player all over the place now. He's being used right with a new offensive coordinator. He is the most consistent boom right now. I would take Shaheed over Kirk in a heartbeat.
Oh, for sure.
Like
Christian Kirk has just looked lost, man. I don't know. I did not see this coming. Like for how lost he's looked so far this year.
I've said it. I said it earlier on in Discord. I said it in a couple other leagues. He is great at getting open. Great.
Okay. Before we go too far down this tangent, let's just take a quick look at some of the other injuries, just because we gotta get into them. You can jump back into some other stuff after, but
there was one I briefly wanted to talk about, and that's J-Jet. His injury is something to monitor.
No, they're going to be very smart with him for sure. I don't think he comes back sooner. Unless he is 100%, he's not coming back. And he's proven in the past. He's not one of those guys who's going to be like, no, I need to get in there.
It was a fluke injury.
But I'm just saying he is that guy who will not come back on the field until he's 100%, which I respect that. I mean, it does make Jordan Addison an absolute must start. Until
Addison's hurt. He's sprained both of his ankles in the past month. So you have Brandon Powell as your number one receiver there.
For Addison, Naylor, I think, is actually number one.
Jalen Naylor, and then it's Powell.
Well, I mean, there is another option for them right now. If they're looking for another a sort of veteran receiver who's young, has shown the ability to separate, hands are a bit questionable.
N'Keal Harry?
No. The Patriots just cut Jalen Reagor.
Did we?
Oh, yeah. He got cut from the practice squad today.
Today?
Yes, he did.
It's just cut Robbie Chosen if anybody's interested.
Wild.
Not for about 4 years now. But I mean, so there is a chance. There are options out there for them. I would not be surprised if they bring Jalen Reagor in for a look if they're having concerns, if they really think that Jay Jettis isn't going to play. Honestly, if he does play, the one thing I'll say to the Vikings is stop running his fucking direction. So you don't have guys like Fred Warner crashing into his legs. Hello, protect your
fluke
asset.
Injury, but. If he takes another hit like that his muscle there could be fucking squish.
So
because he's got a quad contusion, right? Those lead to very bad injuries.
Yeah, can't really.
Here's the question then: if Addison sits and if Addison and Jay Jetta's both sit, does that make Naylor and Powell both must starts? Naylor's actually looked pretty decent.
Naylor's doing good, but I would trust Powell slightly more. He may be the to-go guy. He was last year late for a
He
few
was,
weeks.
yeah.
He
I
actually
was
helped
expecting him
me
to be the.
win a few games in playoffs, which helped me in the long run. So
I expected him to be their number 3 guy, but it looked like so far it's been Naylor. So I'm
I
curious. Like,
mean,
I don't know.
let's remember who the quarterback is in Minnesota.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
I know. And everybody's going to be like, no, he looks so good. No,
does he look good,
JJ
or
and
is he,
Addison
or
have
is
made him
Jay
look
Jett
good.
is a like literally once in a generational type talent wide receiver making him look good, right?
100%. Can you imagine? Can
Jefferson's
you imagine if
helping him.
Jefferson had ever had a good QB? like,
Like,
I mean, Kirk is fine, but like, put him if he had ever been with like a top 5. Oh, God, man, put him
Put
with a
him in a
Mahomes,
Chiefs
put him with an
uniform
Allen,
with
with a
Patrick
Burrow.
Mahomes, or a Bengals uniform with
Man,
Burrow, or a Bills uniform with Josh Allen. Yeah.
2,000 yards broken, done.
Oh yeah.
actually, thank you for bringing up the Bengals. Yoshi Boss. He
What?
didn't have many targets. He didn't have many yards, but he had one beautiful touchdown.
Andre
Dude, he looked
Iosivas.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah, he looked okay, but he didn't do much. Dude, Mike Gesicki was the guy who balled out.
I'm
That
sorry,
was the
but
guy.
give me the year 2 guy who's filling in for Higgins and he gets 2 touchdowns. Give me that guy. Part of me
Toki.
standing away at what?
Toki. He just put up 14 points in a PPR league where he got 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I said
Literally,
he
he
didn't
got
have
point
many
7.
targets. He didn't have many yards, but the 2
He had
touchdowns.
7 yards. He had 7 yards, man.
If he turns out to be one of their red zone targets, that's a
Are we
good boom
taking
to have.
are we taking the lineman out of KC? He just nailed a touchdown too.
I mean,
I mean, you can,
that's like saying
but
Jalen Polk should be on your radar because he caught like 2 catches, has 18 yards and a touchdown. Like, let's be fair. All
I've
right.
been high on Yoshi Boss since he showed that he
I know
can
you
be
have.
a wide receiver too. And he showed that last year. Not so much this year
I just
yet,
don't think
but
he is.
I don't think he is either.
I don't think he's got it, man.
so
I
I
picked
do
up.
think we should talk about the Rams.
Yeah, no, the Rams I think is huge.
Sell all your
To me,
stock.
honestly,
Sell it all.
the Rams is the biggest conversation right now outside of Miami. And
I
I mean, I think it's
personally
one
have
A, one
every
B.
Ram player on that I have on the trade block. No
Absolutely.
one's buying, but they're all on the block.
Smash. Yeah, 100%, 100%. Like if somebody's gonna give me any kind of value for Tutu, for Whittington, cross the block, man. Kyron, I don't care. Stafford, I'll sell any one of those pieces right now. Um, Puka, obviously, I'm going to stash. I think that's fine. Cooper Cup, I'm worried about Cooper Cup too because that was a bad injury, and I mean
That's kind of why I read something that, and it's just me reading. It could. I didn't look too hard into it, but
Mhm.
apparently it's not a low ankle sprain. It's a high ankle sprain, and
That's worse.
That's
they're
what I heard
actually
too.
worried that it may be having something to do from something last year as well. So that we all know
Yeah.
what happens when Cooper Cup gets hurt. He
Well, man,
goes to IR.
high ankle sprains are 7 to 8 weeks. There's
Yeah.
just no way around it. Um, the the chance to re-injure a high ankle sprain, if it is, I've seen conflicting reports, so I don't know where we're sitting. Joe, have you seen one way or the other? Is that what you're looking up right now?
Yeah. So the last I heard from Cooper Cup was that they had an ankle injury listing. He left the locker room in a walking boot. Not a
That's
low,
what I
not a
saw too.
low walking boot, like a full-on walking boot. So they immobilized that ankle completely.
Yeah.
That is usually not a good sign for somebody who you're hoping plays in the foreseeable future. high ankle sprain on a guy who is known for his short area quickness, his crisp route running, that's not happening. The only thing that would concern me more than a high ankle sprain of like an injury of when they're going to come back from a wide receiver standpoint would be like turf toe. Like you're not getting the cuts, man. So
if it's a tear, he's done for the season.
Oh, if he's full grade 3 high ankle sprain, yeah, we might not see him again. But I don't know. I feel like they would have given a little bit more info on that. Like I mean, if it was a grade 3 high ankle, they already know that because by the time he's walking out of there, he's got bruises up to his knees and
would they be
everything
quick
like
on
that.
it?
So
because last year they were quick on it and he wasn't healthy.
You know what, man? After what went down with San Francisco, I feel like nobody's gonna be playing games with injury reports right now.
Yeah,
because the NFL is on alert, man.
So the newest news I got, and this is from Fox News, extended time missed expected, likely candidate for IR. Cooper Kupp is expected to miss the exact extended period of time and is a candidate for injured reserve per Sean McVay. So he is probably done for at least 4 weeks.
What if McVay's saying that? Then he's going on IR. We already know it.
And an extended period of time, I would expect that, especially with the Rams looking the way they've looked without Puka and without Cooper Kupp. I mean, they got absolutely destroyed by Arizona. That team is barren when those are two of the best wide receivers in the NFL right now. I mean, not to mention they've had, multiple offensive linemen go on IR.
Kyren Williams, I think, was kind of overblown anyway, but I mean, I don't care. You could put CMC healthy in there. If you don't have an O-line, you're not going anywhere.
Absolutely not.
Do we see an uptick in Kai's targets? Or are those going to go to Atwell? I was certainly impressed with how Atwell played.
I still think Atwell ends up coming out of this looking like the best player that they have left, but I don't think that's necessarily glowing review. That's a low bar.
It's like saying DeMario Douglas was the best player, was the best receiver in the Patriots. It didn't matter, he was not a viable fantasy option. The guy was at best a flex, right? Like a bench stash. If all your wide receivers are on a bye week, he gets the flex play.
One of the people that are trying to dump Puka off onto me is kind of funny. I'm telling you, what they're wanting for an injured player on IR in a new dynasty league is kind of crazy. One of them was, I think it was Higgins and Puka for Marv.
For MHJ, absolutely.
What was that?
Talent. For Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Yeah, I told him, I'm like, no, you're paying. I told him I wouldn't. This is me probably my love for Marv. I've been so high on him since.
No, it's a factual thing. Marvin Harrison Jr. had one bad week, and everyone thinks all of a sudden that he's a boomer bust guy. No, he's in a brand new offense. Kyler Murray's learning a brand new target, and we all saw what happened, right? In week 2, Kyler Murray's go-to target was the generational talent they drafted at number, I believe it was the 3rd overall pick, 4th overall pick, whatever it happened to fucking be.
Yeah. And those receptions, those 2 TDs, if you look at it too, the first one, that was not, I don't know how he came down with that. I don't care who you are. How he managed to.
That second one.
Staying down, which the second one was almost more impressive when you think about the fact that.
I love that
hold of him 10 yards out, and he just drove the legs and dove, and he got in there, and it was that's impressive, man. He powered through that defender like nobody's business.
On that play, I watched him cut across the field, and as he got to the other hash marks, I was like, okay, did he went off camera? So I was like, hey, did he cut up field or did he keep going to the sideline? And then I seen Kyler lock eyes on someone. I'm like, oh, he went upfield. I'm like, this is good.
Yeah.
Like, and to be fair,
Like-
week 1 for MHJ, he was open a lot. He just didn't get the ball. Week 2, that's what you're going to see moving forward because Kyler Murray sat down in the quarterback room between week 1 and week 2 and said, holy shit, I missed this guy this many times for probably this many touchdowns. Yeah, let's get the ball to him.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if you guys heard on that second route as well. So apparently MHJ actually he switched that route up halfway through. So there was they talked about it afterwards. There was a defender that was not where they thought he was going to be. MHJ straight up like changed the route himself mid cut, but it was like in a situation where he wasn't going to get the ball, and basically created a whole new opening for Kyler. If they get on the same page while he's still able to do that, damn.
Just remember what makes Travis Kelce such a good receiving tight end.
I was just going to say.
He has said so many times that he hardly ever runs, and Patrick Mahomes has said it too, Travis Kelce hardly ever runs the route that's in the playbook for the play call. What he does do, which makes him so proficient, is he finds the openings as he's running the route in the defense and just sits down. He just sits down because Patrick Mahomes knows he's going to be open.
It's funny on the flip side, if you watched, for anybody who watched the Bears game, which was painful watching Caleb, but when you actually watched some of what actually happened there, it's the exact opposite. The exact opposite was happening. The number of times where you see guys who are just running, and it's like you could tell there was a couple times where somebody had the wrong play. Somebody wasn't reading the playbook. And whether it was Caleb, whether it was whoever, like a Dunze missed a couple that were just like sailed over his head a few times. I don't know. I'm curious to see what comes out of that because there was definitely some routes that did not make sense there.
I mean, you got a rookie quarterback, you got 3 new wide receivers and running backs in that, and like the whole offense is pretty much brand new. So it's a learning thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing why everyone was like, oh, the Falcons look terrible week 1. Well, not a single starter played a preseason snap. So go figure. Same thing with the Jets. Oh, the Jets look terrible week 1. Oh, well, guess what? Aaron Rodgers didn't take a single snap since the 4 he took in 2023. So, of course they look terrible. Like, what are you talking about? They gotta get this thing rolling, right? So, these are growing situations. I think it's too early to hit a panic button on any of these offenses. However, that is all we have time for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to Fantasy Football University and hearing us talk about all the injuries, what you can do to prevent going down the same hole and holding on to some of these guys you should hold on to, people who could be back to be league winners if you can go get them, and guys you should try to mortgage your future on if you can right now. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe on all of our social media platforms. Check us out on YouTube as well, and we will see you here next time.